How's it going, everybody? So today in this video I want to talk about another one of the most important concepts for making great decisions in your life, conquering any problem, and overall just becoming a healthier and happier human being. I think it's a common trend. The vast majority of the principles I speak about all have the same thing in common. But this is very, very effective. It's very, very powerful. It's extremely important. And it's something that most people mess up on. So, most people, I would even go as far as to say 85% of people, allow emotions to guide their decision making. The average human being acts out of emotion. They allow emotions to stop them from making good decisions, like their fear of what other people might think about them, fear of looking foolish in public, outside of a public gym in a public parking lot. People might stare at you when you're making videos, which is kind of foolish to really care about, right? People get angry and lash out at others from anger. Aggressive driving, right? People, they want to get to their destination as fast as they can. Maybe they're late for work, so they end up speeding and driving dangerously, cutting off other drivers, driving 20 miles over the speed limit, only to get a ticket for like $300, or wrecking their car, injuring other people, including themselves. Is it all worth it? It's not worth it. Absolutely not. But the thing is, when you're experiencing emotion, especially extreme emotion to a high degree, because all emotions are on a scale of degree, your frontal lobe, your hypothalamus, actually turns off. And your hypothalamus, your prefrontal cortex, is the part of your brain that is responsible for executive function and decision making. Basically, the logical part of your brain is completely turned off when you experience high emotions. And this includes fight or flight, so people with anxiety. This includes extreme depression, but not always. And it and extreme anger, and explains why when we're extremely emotional, we make poor decisions, and it's very hard for us to get out of these extreme emotional states. It's because our decision making is completely turned off. So, if you allow yourself to get overly emotional, angry, anxious, sad, depressed, keep in mind that you're more likely to think irrationally and do things you're going to regret later. So your prefrontal cortex is turned off, and I believe it's the amygdala, the part of the emotional brain, essentially, is lighting up. And this is a fact. It's been proven with brain scans, okay? So it's extremely important for you to not allow your emotions to control you. The thing is, suppressing your emotions is very bad. And suppression, all that means, unhealthy suppression of emotions, hiding your emotions, is pretending like your emotions don't exist. So people who pretend to be happy, people who try to fake it till they make it, this is usually a underlying cause of a lot of mental disorders, is attempting to be something you're not, attempting to be happy when you're actually sad, okay? So you can't fake emotions. That's not what I'm talking about, though. I'm not talking about suppressing emotions. What I'm talking about is, you feel the emotion and you acknowledge that the emotion is there, but you don't allow it to take control of you. You don't allow it to overwhelm you, okay? And you allow yourself to think rationally about it. And if you're in a situation where you just cannot be emotional, for example, at your job, or you're in the heat of an argument with your girlfriend or something, you're going to have to take a walk, okay? You're going to have to take some time out. And if you can't do that, like you're in a business meeting, try to take a restroom break or something. The last thing you want to do is act out of emotion, because bad things happen from that point. If you can't do that, then you're going to have to suppress that emotion until you can take a break. You're going to have to stop the emotion dead in its tracks before it gets so overwhelming that you act extremely irrationally and cause bad things for yourself, okay? And this is extremely important. It's much better to do this than to end up like the vast majority of society who can't keep a job, who end up homeless, who just create bad things for themselves, who end up in jail for abuse and anger, violence, and all these things, okay? You gotta understand, like, allowing your emotions to guide your decision making, allowing your emotions to overwhelm you, is the worst thing. And another interesting side note is people who talk down on people in YouTube comments. People who even little comments like "you're full of shit," "you don't know what you're talking about," blah blah blah. Usually, this is caused by this very line of thinking, allowing your emotions to guide your decision making. Because if you disagree with something, that's fine, and you can explain why you disagree. But what benefit is it serving you when you leave comments on people's YouTube channel just stating a statement with no logical backing? Like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. I hate you. I hate what you're saying. Like, why would you just say that? How is that benefiting you? How is it benefiting other people? It's really not. It's just you being bitter. A better way to do this would be to say, I strongly disagree with what you're saying. I haven't found it to be true in my experience, because, and also scientific studies, this and this and this, or, breaking down the points and debunking them, right? That's productive. It helps other people, it helps yourself, and it helps the person in the video. But, yeah, so that's important, but I'll make a whole nother video on that later. Anyway, repetition is the mother of all skill. Practice, practice, practice. Some people might think it's easier said than done, but the fact is, it's just like any other skill. The more you practice emotional control, the better you get at it. I think this might be called emotional intelligence. I'm not sure. I'll look it up. But I think there's books on it. Essentially, everybody has a differing level of control, and it's a skill that can be built. Some people's parents have forced them to learn it, and others have not. But everyone can learn it. But the more out of practice you are with this skill, the harder it will be to start. Okay, so if you feel like, oh, I just don't have it in me, blah blah blah, chances are you can develop the skill. It's just that you've never tried, and you're so far out of practice, and you're just so undisciplined that it's going to be harder for you than other people. But there's a difference between it being harder for you than other people and it just being impossible. And really, I believe that all mental and physical abilities can be developed unless you're losing a limb or you have a physical brain issue like brain damage, okay? Even a lot of mental issues, mental disorders can be reversed, in my opinion. Anyway, emotional control is very, very important, okay? So allow yourself to acknowledge the emotion, just don't act upon it, and then think rationally about it. Remember, you can only think rationally and logically about your emotions if you're not in the fight or flight stress emotion response, because your logical brain can only be turned on without extreme emotion. Leave your questions and comments down below. Let me know what you think about this, and I'll talk to you all in the next video.